All right, everyone, in the final video for this module of online marketing principles, we're actually going to talk about the principles of online marketing. Amazing, right? But there's really going to be some good stuff in this, some stuff that, again, it goes back to the foundational, fundamental elements that I feel like have been lost in the e-commerce industry with a lot of this training and stuff that's out there because people are just like so focused on, okay, this is how you find a product and this is how you launch an ad, but they're not they're not understanding some of the principles that actually go behind all of this, that go behind good marketing and creating good campaigns that sell. Okay, and so I wanted to cover this. I think there's going to be some really good information in here that will help clarify a lot of successful online marketing and what that is really made of. Okay. Now, I want to reiterate this. I've mentioned this earlier. If you run a business and you don't have a marketing team, then you are a marketer. Okay, you need to get this clear. Some people think like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur. I don't even know how to market. Yeah, I mean, that's true if you can afford a marketing team or if you're partnered with somebody who's doing your marketing for you. But if you're not, then guess what? You are the marketer, which means you are responsible for creating the marketing, which is going to create the sales. Otherwise, you don't have a real business. Everything in e-commerce is first and foremost about creating a good offer for your target audience. Okay, and the distinction here is a good offer. It doesn't just mean a good product, right? Like you don't just, it's not just about finding a good product. You have to create a good offer around that product. This is why sometimes you'll see, the difference between two people trying to sell the same thing, and one's working and one's not, is because one knows how to market, one knows how to create an offer that's irresistible to people, that actually triggers their emotions and makes them want to purchase. All right, and we're going to talk more about creating, a winning offer in the future. But for now, this is really important to understand because no amount of marketing is going to make a bad offer sell. Okay, and so you have to have a good offer at the very foundation of everything in e-commerce. It's about having a good offer that matches your audience, that is genuinely providing value, that is something that they want. Okay, and marketing can sometimes, can actually disguise an offer. If you think about, for example, like a pet rock. Okay, pet rock was famous back in, I wasn't alive for it, the 80s, 70s. I don't know what it was, but basically somebody took a rock, put it in a box, and turned it into the idea of a pet. And what sold that rock sold well over $1 million. And what that was based on good marketing, creating something clever as an offer, and creating a good marketing campaign around it. Now, was it really a good offer? I mean, I don't think so, because I mean, what value is somebody really getting? They're getting a rock, but the marketing was so good. So in some situations, really good marketing can overcome the actual offer. But at the end of the day, I think, what you really, really want to focus on is a good product, turning it into a good offer, matching it with your audience, and then creating a good marketing campaign around it to sell. What makes a good offer? Logical question, right? So number one, it has to be appealing. Okay, appealing in the sense that like it's attractive emotionally to people, right? Like they want it. There's something about it that they want, whether that's because they're passionate, whether that's because they have some sort of pride, like ego, if it helps them boost their ego about whatever it is, or because it solves a problem, right? But it has to be appealing. Okay, it has to be simple to understand. Something that is too complex and is really complicated and like it takes all this explanation, people are going to lose interest. It has to be simple to understand where they get it right away. The best offers are the simplest to understand. It has to be meaningful to the market. All right, similar to appealing, but appealing is like attractive aesthetically. Okay, where it's they want it because they see it and it looks good. It solves something for them and it has aesthetic appeal to it. Where meaningful is like going in on a deeper connection. Like, why do they want this? What is it about this offer? What is the outcome, right? Marketing is about creating an outcome in the mind of the buyer. So what is that outcome that is making it more meaningful to them? And then high perceived value. All right, we talked about in an earlier video that you always want the use value to be higher than the cash value of what you're taking from somebody. So that's what's considered a high perceived value. The three C's of online marketing. I did not make this up, but I think that it's really relevant. It's one of the first things I learned when I was getting into online marketing, and I adjusted it a little bit to make sense for e-commerce. But I think that these three principles are, exactly what define creating that initial success, okay, and not thinking too far outside of this. One is create traffic. All right, we just got done talking about the principles of selling on social media, but nothing happens in your business until you create traffic. You have to actually be able to get visitors aware of your offer and be able to get them to your website to start that interaction and know how to retarget them. Like I said in one of the earlier videos, you need to get good at paid traffic and conversions unless you plan on hiring somebody, which I'm pretty sure most of you are not at that stage right now. Most people don't get there until you already have a successful business and you know what you're doing, and then you outsource. That's a nice little thing to pop up right here. Anyway, so create traffic, right? Next, capture data. All right, data is so important because remember we said a lot of people aren't going to buy on that very first point, So you're going to create that traffic, and then you have to actually capture that data, whether that's an email, whether that's through a cookie on the website, or whether that's through the Facebook pixel. You need to capture that data so that you can then re-engage with them. You can show them new ads and new campaigns, or I'm sorry, new marketing angles to get them to keep engaging and then convert sales, right? At the end of the day, that's what it's all about. You have to focus on bringing people back and converting those sales. Now, we're going to look at all of these in depth, but the reason that these are so important is because these are your income producing activities, and nothing else really matters in your business until all three of these are working. All right, so this gives you an idea of what you should be focusing on. If you're focusing on anything else other than mastering these three things in the beginning, you're just kind of wasting your time. All right, and this is where so many online entrepreneurs get stuck. They get shiny ball syndrome where they're chasing all these things around and thinking that they're being productive when they're not really being productive. These are the three things that grow your business in the beginning. You need to focus on these until you have them all working, okay? Creating traffic, capturing that data, and converting sales, all right? And it gives you your focus for what you understand that you need to be learning, okay? And we're going to go through all of this in more depth throughout this entire academy, so you're going to be good at this by the end of the academy. I'm just laying the foundation here of income producing activities that actually help you grow your business. Now, the three M's triangle of marketing. All right, so this is another just kind of analogy here so that you can understand, building off of that, right? Like the three C's are your income producing activities. The three M's of marketing are how you put together a coherent campaign, something that makes sense, something that can sell. And they all work together. One is not better than the other. You need every piece equally when you are trying to sell to people. One is understanding what the market wants, okay? And we talked about this. So you need to know what the market wants. You can't sell the market something that it doesn't want. That's why market research is so important. And the hierarchy of how we went from market research to niche validation to eventually we'll get into the product research as well. So you have to understand what does the market want. Also, you have to know what that message is that's going to connect with the market, right? Because different audiences are going to connect with a different message. The way that you will advertise to Harley Davidson bikers is going to be different than the way that you would advertise um, to grandmothers, right? Now, there may be some crossover. Obviously, there could be grandmothers out there that like riding Harley Davidson. I'm not saying that's not true, but in general, you get the concept, okay? The way that you market to one audience, that message that you're creating is going to be different, all right? And then the medium, okay, the how. What is the lowest, most cost-effective way to reach your market? That's what you want to be thinking about in the beginning. And that's where we talked about the social media channels that you can be marketing on. So all of these need to work together, all right? Your market, your message, your medium. You need to, this is what's going to help you form your go-to-market strategy. All right, and again, we're going to cover this more in depth, but I'm just giving you, like, again, this is the high level principles, right? That's what this module is all about. So anytime you're thinking about, your go-to-market strategy and getting ready to start marketing, think about these three pieces and make sure you have them all in alignment. What does the market want? Okay, well, I know, say, the market wants this new beauty cream that I have. Okay, what is the message that's going to resonate with them? Well, let's take Boom by Cindy Joseph as an example. Okay, what does the market want? Well, the market for their company was women 45 years and up. So what that market wanted was a specific type of beauty product for women older than 45, right? So what message is going to resonate with them? Well, a message that is very specific and very pro-age revolutionary for women in that demographic, right? Finally, a new realistic type of beauty product that is something that we can use and feels good in our everyday life. Okay, and what is the lowest, most cost-effective way to reach your market? Well, I don't know what they ended up deciding on that, but my guess is they started with Facebook ads as the most lowest cost-effective way that they could get in front of their market using video advertising and photos to start creating that awareness and then creating that engagement and then converting sales and building a very successful brand. Another principle is product and price. Okay, so a lot of people, you're going to come to this question at some point. Your product is going to demonstrate how you have to demonstrate the value, right? This is how well you're going to perform based on the value that you demonstrate. So you need to think about a few things: name, packaging, and benefits before marketing, because those are the things that you need to illustrate in your marketing. So that perceived value will also be affected by your pricing model and where you fit in the marketplace. All right. This is, again, just high level concept. We'll talk about this more as we get into it, but uh, the name, how you name your product, what type of what type of branding you're using in the name. A branding could be good, a branding could be flat, right? Like you want to use something that is a unique kind of clever name. If you can use power adjectives or descriptive type words, like we saw that one product earlier, if you remember, there was a product on Aspire Uplift that we looked at as an example, and it was called like the magic dishwashing gloves or something. They use that word magic in there as kind of an additional branding element, okay? The packaging. In the beginning, you may not have much control over this, but you still want to be thinking about the packaging, because that's going to create good packaging versus bad packaging can create a very different experience in the mind of a customer, okay? And the benefits, like not features, right, but benefits. And the benefits are speaking like directly to the value of something. So, for example, like instead of saying these gloves have scrubbers on them that are 1 inch long, you could say these gloves have built-in scrubbers that allow you to easily brush dishes and clean without ever having to grip grip bars of soap or grip a sponge or whatever. You get what I'm trying to say. Like you're speaking to the benefit of the product, not just the feature of it. Not just gloves that have scrubbers on them, but gloves that allow you to clean dishes without ever having to grab a sponge or get your hands wet again. Okay. And then thinking about pricing, right? There's different ways and theories of a price model, and you can look this up. I'm not going to get too in depth because the information is already out there. But generally, you just want to think about where do you want to fit in the marketplace, right? Do you want to be a luxury brand? Do you want to be an affordable everyday brand? Do you want to be a cheap discount brand? Okay, there's no right or wrong answer. It's just where do you want to fit? What type of brand do you want to build? How do you want to be perceived by the marketplace? Okay. And you definitely, though, need to think about having a margin that's big enough to handle that's able to scale your business, all right? Because you're going to have your customer acquisition cost for your marketing, and you're going to have your cost of goods. And so when you look at that, you want to leave yourself enough of a margin in your pricing and figure this stuff out ahead of time. Like a cost projection model, right? Now, if you're brand new to advertising on Facebook and Instagram, I know that can be a little bit more difficult, but you want to at least figure, and do some research. Like, okay, say a $15 cost per acquisition is an acceptable Facebook cost, right? And so you have your $15 cost per acquisition. You have, say, a $15 cost of goods to fulfill that product, including shipping. So now you're at $30 before you even turn a profit. You need to be covering $30, but you also want to have enough profit margin in there to scale, right? To cover your overhead, to cover taxes, to cover a team. If like these are things you need to think about what prices are going to give you enough profit to scale as a business. And generally, I would say you want to be shooting at least for a 30% profit margin. Okay, give or take, it might not always work out exactly like that, but a 30% profit margin is a good general rule to try to shoot for in your pricing model so that you have enough room to scale. And then finally, the last thing that I want to talk about here is the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Okay, and the reason that I want to talk about this is because this goes back to human psychology, right? And we're talking about the principles of online marketing here. And when it comes to online marketing, you need to understand like that part where we talked about message, right? The message is going to be different based on the type of product that you're selling. All right, the amount of explanation that's needed, how in-depth the campaign needs to be, how much engagement you need to create. It gets more difficult at the very top, okay, because it's much more narrow. At the very bottom, for things like air, water, food, shelter, these aren't things that are difficult to understand. Right? You don't need to have too in-depth of an explanation if you are selling hamburgers, okay, as an example, right? As a simple example, if you're selling hamburgers, like people understand they need to eat food if they like hamburgers, and your hamburgers look good, and you have a creative spin to what you're doing, or you're offering a good deal. People they don't need to be generally convinced, right? It's kind of a face value type of thing, right? People need sleep, so if you're selling mattresses, they're gonna want to shop around for the best mattress that fits their need, but you don't need to explain to them why they need a mattress. You don't need to explain to them why they need sleep, right? Clothing, selling t-shirts and apparel, one of the biggest industries in the world. You don't need to explain to people why they need a t-shirt, right? You just need to focus on your design. You need to focus on your marketing angle and your branding that makes people want to buy from you, but you don't need to go into that explanation. As you move up the hierarchy of needs, things require more explanation, right? And basically, Maslow was a behavioral psychologist that identified there are certain things that need to be met before you can get to the next level of needs, right? And these are basically needs that everybody will ascend to if they reach the need underneath, right? Like, so if you have a good paying job that's giving you, you have water, food, shelter, you're getting good sleep, you have enough clothing, you have the sex life that matches what you want, and obviously you have air to breathe, right? Then that's when you're going to start looking at the next level of making sure your job is secure and your health is good and you have assets and these types of things. And then when that's secure, you start really looking into deeper senses of intimacy and family and connection and so on and so forth as it goes up, all the way to you see this with entrepreneurs all the time, right? As they start to create success and move up, they start to get to a point where they want to be recognized, and they want to have more freedom, and they want to have more status, and but eventually get to that self-actualization where you really start to think about what type of impact you want to have in the world, and what you were really meant here for. But it's hard to be at this level if you don't have your basic needs met down here, right? And so that's how the hierarchy of needs works. And basically, as marketers, we want to understand that the message is going to be different at each level based on what you're selling. Now, I don't know what you're going to sell, or where you'll be in here, but like, for example, if you're selling stuff that has to do with relationships and intimacy, like we looked at with the couples stuff, okay, there's not really a deeper level of, it's like a combination, right? If it's clothing, but it's combining into the love and belonging category. It's not necessarily that it needs a deeper explanation, but you need to be able to create a deeper connection, right? So like the connection or the explanation here has to be really more solid as you move up, the hierarchy of needs and what you're trying to sell, right? So like with the couple's choices, they have to create a good brand and really be able to create that connection for people who want to shop there, okay? And it has to do with the fact that the people that are buying from here are generally probably people that already have this stuff met. So it lets you know a little bit about your audience and who you should be targeting, and what type of, uh, customer persona that you should be targeting. Okay, so I know that that's a little abstract, and that's my way of interpreting it and explaining it, and I think that it's good enough to kind of get you in the idea of where you're going to be selling, what category you fit into here, of the type of customer that you're going to be going after, and how deep the explanation or how deep the connection is going to have to be for you to really be able to, how deep is that campaign going to have to go? If you're trying to sell a course on, teaching people how to create financial freedom, you have to create a lot more of a connection, right? There's a lot more explanation, and deeper of a campaign that has to go into that, because it's something that is like really at the top of the level, so people are going to think about it a lot more. Okay. So that's everything, for the online marketing principles. I hope that, again, you found a lot of value in this and just kind of creating some awareness, right? Trying to create some clarity in some of the high level concepts that, well, really aren't even as high level. These are fundamental concepts that, I think, everybody as an entrepreneur and as a marketer should understand these types of concepts, so that you're able to craft good marketing campaigns, and you're really able to start to understand your audience and the people that you're marketing to, and have a much higher chance of making them, making them go through the customer journey in a good way, in a positive way, that turns them into a loyal customer and helps you build a good brand. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next module.